Friday. Today we are reading a book that's called The Summer Sherman Loved Me by Jane St. Anthony. So we're going to read the first chapter of this book, and then hopefully you like it. Here we go. The Summer Sherman Loved Me. Margaret, I love you, Sherman Jensen whispered loudly from his porch across our front yards, and for the first time I slept on my porch during summer vacation. I lay still. My face and body were lower than the windowsill. From next door, Sherman must have seen me come out. My chest swelled with pressure. My heart was too full. A dull thud followed from next door, then the muffled cries of Bobby, Sherman's brother. Sherman was older and larger than Bobby. Bobby's legs were so skinny, there didn't seem to be any room for bones in them. Margaret? Suddenly, Sherman's voice was so close to my ear that it seemed to be in my head. He had come outside, his face pressed against the porch screen. Margaret! Was I supposed to say something? Was this supposed to be a conversation? Margaret! Sherman said, come outside. When we were younger, Sherman and I rode bikes together in the summer. He liked to show off for me, riding with no hands. I hardly ever saw him up close anymore. Sherman Jensen was almost 13. He had the kind of arms that could rescue girls. His voice had dropped so that he sounded more like his dad than his mom when he yelled at Bobby. He was blond, he was cute, and I, too tall, with brown hair and no memorable features, must look cute to him if he loved me. But leave the porch? I was already halfway outside. In our family, we never unlocked the doors at night except in an emergency, such as when one grandparent fell and the other one called us to come over and help. The sliding bolt on the porch door was our only protection against the unknown, and now Sherman had invited me out. A date, almost. How could I not go? I hugged my bare arms, wanting to be covered by more than a thin nightgown. Just a minute, I whispered back to Sherman. As soon as I spoke, I wish I had pretended to be asleep. One of the twins had abandoned her baby doll on the lawn chair on the porch. The doll lay wrapped in a piece of old doll blanket secured at her neck. I undid the safety pin and threw the blanket around my shoulders, fastening the pin over the lump in my throat. Then I walked to the door and slid the bolt out of its bracket as quietly as I could. Sherman sat on the lawn between our houses. I walked toward him. He didn't have a shirt on, only striped pajama bottoms. The streetlights grinned silently at my nightgown. I sat down on the damp grass and looked straight ahead. Sherman cleared his throat. His head, I sensed, was locked in the forward position too. What should we do? He asked. What should we do? Wasn't he the one who invited me to leave the fold-out metal bed on the porch? I don't know, I answered. Let's go to the park. Why? I said. Hang around. How would we get there? I asked, recognizing it as a stupid question the minute it came out of my mouth. The edge of the park was less than 1 city block away from where we sat on the grass. Sherman was silent. I waited. Bike, he said. Mine is in the garage, I said. I think it's locked. I'll get mine, and Bobby's. He jumped up and raced around the side of the house. I put my face in my hands, trying to escape from the picture of Mother staring at me, her face tight and drawn with disbelief. Sherman wheeled both bikes out of the garage at once, one on each side of his lean frame. Let's go, he said, running the bikes down the hill, off lawn to the street. Bobby's bike was too short for me. When I sat on it, my knees jutted up and out as if they were two missiles aimed at slightly off-center targets. I stood up for a second to arrange my nightgown underneath me. I wanted to bunch it up in front because of the bar on the boy's bike. Sherman started off down the street. I biked after him. A light winked in the Underwood's house where old Mrs. Underwood lived with her son, Mr. Underwood, Mrs. Underwood, with a light winked in the Underwood's house where old Mrs. Underwood lived with her son, Mr. Underwood. Mrs. Underwood was widely known for popcorn balls she made at Halloween. Mr. Underwood smiled all the time, even when he took the trash out. I looked ahead. Sherman neared the corner. My bare toes gripped the cool pedals. The bike lifted off my back a little as I pedaled faster. The blanket lifted off my back a little as I pedaled faster. A black cat skittered in front of me, and I almost hit it in the dark. I hope it had a patch of white somewhere on its body. So that's The Summer Sherman Loved Me. If you like that book, then definitely come over to the library, and I'm happy to help you find it. And if you like something similar to it, I'm sure I can help you find something like that. All right, well, I'll see you next Friday. Thanks so much. Bye.